"Ma'am, you're done disrupting my courtroom," Officer Roy Cutter hissed, yanking Odessa Vaughn up by the elbow so hard her purse hit the floor and spilled. Her sister's locket skittered across the marble and cracked open on the tile. Odessa didn't raise her voice. "You'll want to pick that up gently," she said. "It's the only picture I have left of her." 12 rows of the gallery went dead silent. A young reporter in the second row stopped typing mid-sentence. Somewhere in this courtroom sits a woman nobody bothered to ask a single question before they dragged her out by the arm. Somewhere in this story is the exact sentence the judge is about to say that turns this whole room inside out. What none of them knew yet was what was written on the back of that broken locket. Stay close, because in about 4 minutes, a judge is going to call a black woman back into his courtroom in front of everyone who just watched her get thrown out. And the reason is going to leave one man's career in ashes. Let's rewind to the first morning Odessa Vaughn ever sat in that gallery. Odessa Vaughn was 68 years old, retired, and she hadn't missed a single day of her nephew Marcus's trial. She sat in the same seat every morning, third row, aisle side, a worn leather handbag in her lap holding a Bible, a peppermint tin, and her late sister Ruth's gold locket. She wasn't loud, she wasn't disruptive, she listened the way a person listens who used to get paid to catch every word that mattered. For 32 years, Odessa had been the chief court stenographer for that very building, retired 11 years before anyone in that courtroom was old enough to know her name. Roy Cutter didn't know that. Roy Cutter didn't ask. He'd pegged her the first week as the emotional one in the back, the kind of spectator he liked to remind who was really in charge. He wore his authority the way some men wear cologne, too much and mostly to cover something else. What none of them could see yet was the ticking clock nobody in that room was watching. Closing arguments were 4 days away, and the transcript sitting in Odessa's lap already had the answer written into it, plain as a fingerprint, waiting for someone to finally read it right. It happened on a Tuesday. A detective on the stand repeated his timeline of the arrest, and Odessa let out a small, involuntary gasp, the kind of sound a person makes when a number doesn't match a number they memorized decades ago without meaning to. Cutter was on her before the judge even looked up. "Out," he snapped, "now," and reached for her arm like she was a coat rack instead of a woman. Her purse hit the floor. The locket broke open on the marble, hinge snapped, and there, face up for the first time in years, was the inscription on the back, R. Vaughn, court stenographer, 1971 to 2003. Accuracy above all. Cutter didn't read it. Cutter didn't care. He marched her toward the doors while 40 strangers watched a 68-year-old woman get treated like a threat for the crime of gasping. What Cutter never bothered to learn was where that gasp came from. Odessa's sister Ruth had trained her, 40 years earlier, at a stenotype machine in this exact courthouse. And Ruth had one rule she repeated until it stopped sounding like advice and started sounding like scripture. The record doesn't lie, baby. People do. Read it twice before you believe a single person in the room. Ruth had been gone 6 years, but sitting in that gallery, Odessa had spent every session doing exactly what her sister taught her, cross-checking the spoken testimony against the transcript pages the clerk let her borrow at lunch, out of habit, out of grief, out of love. And 2 pages back, in black and white, the detective had sworn under oath to an arrival time that didn't match the time stamped on his own dispatch log. Nobody else in that courtroom had read closely enough to notice. Odessa had read it twice. Cutter had Odessa halfway to the doors when the judge's voice cracked across the room like a gavel. "Officer Cutter, stop." The bailiff froze. "Bring her to the bench." Cutter's grip loosened, like his hand had forgotten how to hold on. The judge looked past him, straight at Odessa. "Mrs. Vaughn, it is Mrs. Vaughn, isn't it? Chief stenographer here, class of 71 to 03? A ripple went through the gallery. Cutter's face didn't just fall, it drained. Pale, blotchy, sudden. Right there in front of the same 40 people who'd watched him drag her out 90 seconds earlier. The judge turned the transcript around on his desk. "Tell me what you heard, ma'am." And in a courtroom that had just watched her thrown out like garbage, Odessa Vaughn calmly read the mismatched timestamp into the record, word for word, exactly the way her sister taught her. The detective's testimony collapsed within the hour once the dispatch logs were subpoenaed. His arrival time had been altered to close a 40-minute gap that, once reopened, gave Marcus Vaughn an alibi nobody had thought to check. The case against him was dismissed with prejudice 8 days later. Cutter was suspended without pay pending a formal review, and the footage of him dragging a 68-year-old grandmother out of a courtroom, followed 90 seconds later by a judge calling her back by name, hit 14 million views under a caption nobody had to write twice. They escorted her out. The judge called her back. The county's court system announced new mandatory de-escalation training for every bailiff and court officer within the month, and it named one incident, specifically, as the reason the policy changed. Marcus walked free before Thanksgiving. Odessa had the locket repaired by a jeweler who refused to charge her a cent once she told him the story, and she keeps it clasped shut now, the inscription facing in, safe. She spends her Tuesdays teaching a free stenography class to teenagers at the county library, and she opens every single session the same way her sister opened every session with her. The record doesn't lie. People do. Read it twice. If this story moved you, hit like, share it with somebody who needs reminding that quiet people are still watching everything, and subscribe for more stories like Odessa's. Before you go, here's what really gets me about this one. It's not the reversal. It's the 90 seconds where an entire room decided a calm woman must be the problem, simply because nobody had asked her a single question first. So tell me honestly, in the comments, has anyone ever mistaken your silence for weakness right before you proved them completely wrong?